1945, correspondence happened between Margaret Gower and the Carnegie Foundation requesting access to the Carnegie Public Library for African Americans, who represented a third of our population. It was denied in that it was a local request that needed to be made, and I believe the request, of course, was not met. And so collaborating with the city, trying to get fundraising started happening immediately for books and which location would take place. The Negro Public Library opened in the basement of the Bethlehem Baptist Church. And for years, it operated under the city. The city, of course, brought it under its wing, and funds are allocated for the city to have the library open for several years. Every month in the library, we like to display things that not only showcase or shed light on something special from our history or current events. And Black History Month, I was immediately starting to pull Black artists in the library on display. And I found myself one day, of course, in the local history and genealogy room, looking at some of our really old books that are behind locked cabinets, and noticed the Ella Reed Public Library collection. About 100 books, and they're beautiful books. And I thought, first I thought shock. First I was in shock that we had something like that. But then I thought, what a wonderful way to show our history and past here in Tyler. So for the month of February, I displayed the books, and it got quite a lot of showing. Okay. So this book is The Hawk of Egypt. And if you open it up, you will see the stamp of a Negro Public Library, which tells me that this book is from the late 1940s. And you can see the change in library names. This is the library, the inside of the library. And the name change, of course, happens over here, which is now the Ella Reed Public Library. This is a copy of the City of Tyler, Texas budget summary for the Ella Reed Public Library. It shows salaries, supplies, maintenance, and just looking at the amounts lets you know the time frame of that we were in. Let's see. This is actual board minutes from the 1940s from the Negro Public Library Board. March 26, 1947 Library Board meeting. And I thought this was an interesting bookmark where it shows how much books cost and magazines cost the library. Books, magazines totaled $33. And right here we have the word paper, and that says $32.50. And then we have quite a lot of Shakespeare. We have King Lear and the Tempest, Othello, and these books are just precious. The Tudor Shakespeare. If you open it up, of course, you'll see the red stamp of the Negro Public Library. These are called pocketbooks, very common at the time, and there are several that we have. Just lovely little pocketbooks that were lended out at the library, and I think it's wonderful that the library had these. This book that we have right here is titled Camille by Dumas. This is a lovely book from the library, and it has some interesting provenance in it, and that you see, of course, the red Negro Public Library stamp, Tyler, Texas, but then upside down is property of Smith County Rural Library, a library that I have never heard of. And so that is interesting, showing how this book has traveled and been renamed. And once again, it's on the inside. A lovely book that is in pretty great condition considering how old it is. Next we have Old Testament selections. This is a great book in that when you open it, it still has the card inside. And let's see what this says. Old Testament copy 12. So we had 12 different Old Testament selection volumes in the library. Let's see if we can pull in the back. This is what I was remembering. The dates right here in the back. Most of these dates say 1922. So it makes you wonder, where was this book before the library, which of course opened in the 40s. This is an autobiography of Cellini. Beautiful book that still has the pretty gold leaf and lovely rust color to it. Careful opening that. Just lovely, the book plates inside. Books are not made this way anymore, and it is just charming to see. And of course, if you would like to hold this book in your hand and any others in the collection, just come to the Tyler Public Library's third floor local history room, and you can do so. To be able to house these works of history that not only people have held and held dear to their hearts, I think a lot of the books in the libraries in Tyler, to be able to house these today and to be able to still show these to the public and to be enjoyed again, I think is just wonderful. It is emotional in a sense, in that how many people have held these books? What were they going through in their life when they were reading these books? And that is libraries in a nutshell, is that there's so many lives and stories to tell in each building. And this room, the local history room in the library, we want to preserve Tyler's past, and I think we're doing a really good job, and speaking about it today just goes to show you that it is continuing. If you think about it, it's starting from scratch with no money, of course. It needed people rallying for it, and so people gave books from their own homes. It's interesting to see some of the books that were in the library, because at the beginning of each book on jackets and whatnot, it talks about to and from family member. These books came from families' homes. They were not bought straight from the publishing company at all. So there is some provenance for these books in that, where they came from, and how, of course, the name changes from the Negro Public Library to the Ella Reed Public Library. And there's even a few, of course, we have 100 total books in the Tyler Public Library that came from the Ella Reed Library, where it shows 3 different stamps. It'll show the Negro Public Library stamp in red, and then in blue, the Ella Reed Public Library, and then in black, Tyler Public Library. So.
And why is it important to look back and know this history about Tyler? Why is it important to have these collections together and to look back at that time period?
Well, we learn from our past, and to be able to trace how Tyler has grown.
Can I have you rephrase the question, the answer there? Can I have
Please.
you say, it's important to look back on these items because...
Okay, it is important to look back at these items because we are learning from our past. Is that better?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly,
okay, okay. Sorry.
Start from the top, that'd be beautiful.
Okay, it is important to look at these items to bring them back from the past, and so that it brings awareness into how we've changed and grown as a city.